and welcome to another special episode that we don't deserve of
Another
the Comics
movie episode.
Yeah, of the Comics Brew and Chew podcast, going in one of the 2 or 5 playlists we have going currently. I don't know.
2 or 5.
2
That's
or 5.
Very good.
Yeah, because we got the comics one, we got the movies one.
And then there's the generic one that I threw the Comic-Con episode in.
There's the generic one. After next month, we're just gonna have to have like a Sean Gordon Murphy category.
Yep.
But which, fine with. But today, like we've mentioned, we are here to talk about a movie we've all seen and love, a movie that is very dear to our hearts. Clerks.
No, we're...
Spider-Verse. I know, I watched Clerks yesterday, though. Had to get in the mood for work. But yeah, we're here to talk about Sony's Into the Spider-Verse, the movie they are now jacking themselves off over and want to make an entire cinematic universe.
It is despicable to me that this came from the same studio that did the Emoji Movie.
It's despicable.
Absolutely fucking despicable.
It's despicable this movie came out of the same studio, like,
That
in general, that did Venom.
And the Amazing
No,
Spider-Man
this is
movies.
Sony Animated Pictures.
No, but
It's still
same
Amy
umbrella.
Pascal, though.
It's amazing to me. Like,
Yeah.
when I saw
Well-
the movie, someone was like, "What's your like? Did you like it?" I was like, "Yeah, I thought it was great." It was like my least favorite part, and they're like, "You had a least favorite part?" I'm like, "That's the studio that made the Emoji Movie." And they have no excuse for that movie.
Well, no, because a majority of the work was probably done by the Marvel guys that worked with them.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, because they had, Bendis was on as a consultant,
Yeah.
right?
He
And
was
I
also
really
in-
like Lord and Miller. They wrote it. I think the only reason they didn't personally direct was because they were supposed to be directing solo.
But I think the big thing is Sony Animated just animated it. They didn't
Yeah.
have to come up with a story for it.
Yeah.
That's why it's
But
not
they
sold
still
out
did
garbage.
a gorgeous job
Oh,
with
yeah.
animation.
You could make a lot of gorgeous animation trash.
Yeah.
There's an entire genre of anime
But-
for that.
But I mean, like, you look at, like, Emoji Movie and it just looks generic and boring. And then you see Spider-Verse and it's, like, loud and, like, just perfect.
It looks and feels like a comic, but like it feels like 7 different comics, and
It does everything so right. It was so good.
this is
My only
you
issue,
know,
I had like one minor issue with it that didn't really like destroy the movie for me. I just feel like the pacing was a little weird. Like for me, if like just personally, if they had tightened the slowed down the story in certain parts and sped up through other parts.
One time where that was a thing for me, and it was just one small thing, when we're getting into spoiler territory now.
Obviously, we're
Right after the whole Miles versus his uncle bit and his uncle dies.
Yeah.
Right after that dark moment, we're into the scene where all of the spider people are on the ceiling trying to avoid being seen by the roommate, and it's like that really.
Right? How do you say his name? I know he's a comic character.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Ganke is how you pronounce his name.
I
I know
like
Gunke.
they borrowed a lot of Ganke for Ned in Homecoming.
Ned.
And that's
Okay.
why Ganke was. They came out and said that he was supposed to have a more expanded role in the movie.
Yep.
But because they
Ned.
borrowed so much of Ganke for Ned, they're like, we'll save it for the next movie.
Which I get them doing that with Homecoming, just because they already really did the Harry thing in the Sam Raimi trilogy. They did. What did they?
They did Gwen in Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah, I haven't seen Amazing Spider-Man 2. The first one I really.
It was just Gwen. Gwen's the only person in high school except for Flash when he's like, "Come on, take the ball, Flash.
Flash was friggin'
Take it.
what's his face from Leftovers.
Take the ball, Flash. Take it."
But that was when you say about pacing and moving too fast. That jump from that really emotional moment to that comedic moment was the only time for me where something felt like
Well,
that.
isn't no, when his dad comes, that's after the Spider
That's-
people leave.
yeah.
Because he's tied up. Yeah.
I loved the relationship with his father was
Yeah.
fantastic.
Mm.
I really loved that when the original this universe's Peter Parker, the one that dies, when he's going through all of his here's my life. Every single thing that he highlights is from the 3 Sam Raimi movies.
Yeah.
All 3 Sam Raimi movies.
He's like,
were
I
him.
even did that, but we don't talk about that when he's dancing.
Yeah.
I just love how he's in the Spider-Man costume for that, which just
Yeah.
makes it that much
They
better.
did the upside down kiss from the first
But-
movie.
But Mary Jane's upside down.
And then the bit from Spider-Man 2 where him and Mary Jane are in the restaurant and the car comes through the
He
window.
just punches the car.
I love this.
Well, he also does the thing from the game where he's walking down the street and he's finger pointing at people.
Well, I mean, yeah.
That's also thrown
Yeah.
back to
That comes from
Spider-Man
Raimi
3.
movies.
But a lot of that, a lot of the hype for that also
Now,
came out of the game.
I'm not familiar with... like I said, I saw The Amazing Spider-Man once. I honestly prefer Spider-Man 3 to that movie.
There's no references to Amazing
That's what I was
Spider-Man.
going to say. Is there any Amazing Spider-Man
There,
stuff?
I think there's one. I think there's like a lizard reference that's very similar.
Probably.
Okay, like I don't know if anyone saw the Lego Batman movie.
I did.
But if you like remember the scene where they're like going through all the different eras of Batman in film.
Yeah.
I was like, I honestly wouldn't have been shocked before going into the movie if we had like Tom Holland and Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire like show up at various points as alternate Spider-Man.
I mean, at one point, again, getting into spoiler territories, when they first open the dimension thing,
Yep.
and they're showing the universes opening,
Yep.
one of the universes that open is 616.
Yeah.
I would call it that.
That's the live action universe.
No, 616 is the
main
mainstream
comic
comic
book.
universe.
What's the sure? What's the
Six. There's
The
one,
MCU is like 1999999.
because there's 616, which is the main Marvel universe, or the old numbering for it before they
Yeah.
renumbered all the universes.
Yeah.
And 1616 was the Ultimate,
Oh.
which is technically the movie we're set in.
Yeah, because Miles debuted
Yeah.
in Ultimate, and then
Yeah.
when they killed Ultimate, he was one of the popular enough characters to bring into the mainstream universe.
But then they're like, oh, the Ultimate Universe never happened, and now they're like, but maybe it did because everybody liked that. And then Bendis was like, I'm gonna work for DC now, and everybody was like, all right, well then fuck it.
I love how Bendis was in Miles' phone.
Yeah.
It's like B. Bendis, and then someone else was in his dad's phone.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
Yeah,
Probably it wasn't Bendis. It was
it wasn't Slot, was it?
It might have been Ditko.
Oh, Steve Ditko.
Ditko would make sense.
But it's well, I mean, I'm not surprised that they were shoving Bendis out there to be like, look it's fucking Bendis. Remember when he wrote good comics? Because everybody hates his Superman run.
Yeah.
And just speaking of Ditko, there was almost an appearance by the other character that Ditko drew. I guess they considered briefly using Doctor Strange.
Yeah, I had
In the
heard
film,
that.
I think he would have had something to do with creating the rift between dimensions.
Yeah.
It's just weird that it's Kingpin. Like, I get why they're having Kingpin do
I
it.
loved Kingpin.
Yeah, I had
Yeah,
a
he
lot
was
of
great.
fun with him.
He was great, but it was just weird that it was Kingpin, especially because Kingpin's not a big Spider-Man character. He's a big
Yeah.
Daredevil character.
Yeah, and I feel like most people, when see that movie, know him from Daredevil. Maybe from his role in the Spider-Man game.
But they did use Ultimate Green Goblin, which is why he was all that like yoked
Yeah,
out.
I
like-
love Ultimate
That
Green
was
Goblin.
cool. Now, I didn't know because I haven't read any of the Ultimate Spidey stuff.
I've read a little.
I didn't know about a female Doc Ock existing.
Yeah, she exists in that universe.
Okay.
Well,
That was I didn't see that coming.
Well,
thought that was
it's-
I
really
didn't
cool.
either. I saw because I'm familiar with Miles and I knew the Aaron Douglas stuff with his uncle and I knew he was gonna be Prowler, but I had no idea that she was.
it's
that there
weird
even was
because
a female
there is a
Goblin.
female Doc Ock, but I think
Doc
she was
Ock.
mainstream universe
Oh,
in the
okay.
90s. Yeah, it was when Ben Reilly takes over as Spider-Man and Peter Parker's like, I was the clone the whole time, and he fucking moves to Seattle for a week and a half. There's a female Doc Ock when Doc Ock's like dead or whatever, like the first time he's dead.
Yeah.
Is this before Doc Ock becomes Peter Parker?
Yes, which was a fantastic story.
I just Kingpin like clicking the pen when he's like annoyed was
Yeah.
great. But I gotta say I really like the Prowler.
Yeah, probably.
Now, do you think they're gonna do that MCU with?
I honestly I thought they were, and now that he's been introduced in the end of the Spider-Verse, I
also
think they're just gonna skip it.
I
yeah,
think
and
so.
I also feel like
I think he was just supposed to be a shout out.
I hope not.
Donald Glover's version in Homecoming was too like down to earth and too much of a decent guy.
I mean, like
Like,
it could change.
yeah.
Like they could do two very different versions of the character.
Yeah.
Like, Prowler could just be a dude who's like trying. Like he could be someone who's like maybe not a criminal, maybe just trying to emulate Spider-Man, but
Yeah.
but maybe he goes to the wayside and starts doing like messed
Yeah.
up things.
And I mean, if that happens, it won't be until the MCU eventually brings in Miles, which I'm gonna assume will happen.
Third movie probably.
I know technically Far From Home is the end of the 5-picture Marvel Studios Sony deal. Because
Yeah.
they did Civil War, Infinity War, Avengers 4, and then 2 Spider-Man movies. But I know Amy Pascal said she's completely open to signing for more pictures with Feige.
I feel like if maybe Spider-Verse hadn't have taken off as well as it did, maybe they wouldn't have been so open to the Spider-Man staying with Marvel. But now that they can
They can do
make
whatever
money
they
on
want.
both sides.
Yeah, they can do... They already have, a sequel and a female-led spin-off, which I'm guessing is Gwen. Maybe a whole team-up, but probably emphasis on Gwen for the spin-off.
Gwen, Penny.
And they're talking now also about doing Spider-Ham as a TV show.
I hope
Amanda
not.
shaking her head at the idea of the female movie.
I absolutely loved every second of Gwen. And then picking up those comics afterwards, yeah, please give me more.
Yeah. I gotta find where I put them all.
Yeah, see, I haven't read any of the Gwen as Spider-Man.
Tom hasn't read a book.
Wow. I read lots of books, Fred.
You read Dune and you can't even get through it.
What do you mean? I got through most of it.
Yep, most of it.
I'm on the 4th one.
Oh, Jesus.
And
But
I'm also reading Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep.
I know what happens. Yes, they do.
if there's one thing I want to, like, I noticed, I saw it on Twitter, and it's something I kind of noticed when I saw it, but I didn't, like, delve deep as this person did, but they noticed with the music in the movie, whenever it's Peter Parker, it's, like, symphonic, like your
Yeah.
average superhero movie. And then when it's Miles, it's all, like,
The very hip-hop
like
soundtrack.
like lo-fi and, like, scratches and ambient noise. And then as Miles comes to terms with being Spider-Man, those two genres of music mix.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's really cool. But one thing I really liked, kind of unrelated, is I loved the fucking Prowlers. Like,
Yeah.
his I don't even know if it can count as music, but like that
techno type
audio like cue.
Yeah, you know what it reminded me of?
Annihilation. It reminded me of Annihilation.
A little bit of that, but also a little bit of the Henry Jackman cues for Winter Soldier and Winter Soldier and Civil War.
Reminded me of that too. Just like that, like just scratchy, very like
yeah.
jarring. Like
The Wonder Woman guitar solo.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, just like
Oh, God, the
guitar
freaking-
solo.
That I didn't see Justice League, but that felt so awkward and out of place in the actual Wonder Woman film. It's so different from.
Oh,
the
I
rest
saw.
of the
I saw.
story.
There's a girl that goes around to different conventions and she has a violin and she plays people's theme songs. She does the Wonder Woman one on the violin. It actually sounds pretty dope.
I mean, here's the thing. It sounds good. It
kick-ass
just doesn't
song.
fit Wonder
No,
Woman.
it doesn't fit Wonder
Well,
Woman, and
it
it certainly
does.
didn't fit the place in the film. Where
Maybe
it was
not
used.
on the instrument they chose for it. If they had went for more of like, I don't know, I guess like traditional music,
Yeah.
like I don't like.
well,
maybe
no,
drums,
Wonder
the
Woman's
guitar,
not this
the guitar would
like,
work.
heavy
It just has
rock
to
and
be
roll.
like a badass action scene. They're using it in like she like fucking deflected a bullet.
I mean,
Yeah, I
it
don't
was
know.
it was the, like it was used in the big World War One like battle
Yeah.
sequence
Yeah.
in that movie, but it didn't fit there either. But anyways, on to
Yeah,
Spider-Verse.
back to Spider-Verse. God, I loved how it turns out that Aunt May was in on Peter Parker
Yeah.
the whole time.
The weird thing though
She
is
had
the fucking
the
like
spider cave,
the subterranean like
the
shit.
spider layer.
Like I'm okay with it, but at the
I
same
caught
point,
the
it's like,
video game suit in
yeah,
there.
yeah. But it's also weird because it's just like it's very like Batman, like Incredibles esque, like
yeah,
like
the spider buggy.
yeah, that was a cool reference. But like Peter was never like big layer like that. Peter was always like
Low tech.
yeah,
Yeah.
like I need to be able to get there and get back. Like he had a lab, but it was either like in a bedroom somewhere or like
Or
in the
wherever
garage.
he worked.
Yeah,
I bought
Horizon.
it for this Spider-Man though, that just because
Yeah.
this was like Spider-Man at the top of his game.
Right.
I knew while we were watching him at the start that I was recognizing his voice and I couldn't place it, and then it wound up being Chris Pine.
Yeah, blondes. Because I'd heard people like, "Oh, Chris Pine as Spider-Man was great." I was like, "I thought Jake Johnson was
Yeah.
Spider-Man." And then when like they pulled the mask off and he was blonde, he's like, "Oh,
This one's
I
Chris
see."
Pine. Jake Johnson's the other universe.
I loved the whole rewind when they explained each Spider-Man.
Yeah, that felt like what Suicide Squad was trying to do with their character introductions, but like actually done.
I
well.
love Jake Johnson's Spider-Man.
I did too.
I love hobo burnt out
Yeah.
of shape Peter Parker. He's eating a hamburger.
It's like it's not what I would ever want for like a mainstream universe Spider-Man, but it fits so well for the role that he
I loved
played.
it.
It's what they tried doing with Luke in
yeah, when
in
he's
Star
when he's
Wars.
talking to Mary Jane
Yep.
from the other universe.
well, it's also
and
them.
he's like, "I'll get you that bread. We'll fill this whole room with bread if you want." And I'm just like dying because Mary Jane wanted kids and he didn't. And
Yep.
he's using bread as a euphemism.
Well, it's also them calling out the One More Day controversy, where
Oh, yep.
they decided in the early 2000s that, well, Joe Quesada decided that, like, a married Spider-Man isn't interesting and nobody wants to read that. So I, as Joe Quesada, by myself, and like two other writers that agree with me, will take away Spider-Man's marriage because it's clearly not working. We just brought in J. Michael Straczynski
Yeah.
to fix their relationship, and it's the greatest it's ever been. But you know what? Three of us don't like it, and we want Peter Parker to get around more.
And
So he
they-
makes a deal with the devil to undo his marriage, and then they break up a couple years later.
And the deal is to save Aunt May's life, who
Yeah.
had lived a natural long life and
Yeah.
was dying.
She gets hit by a sniper bullet meant for Peter because of Civil War. When he outs himself, they're like, "Oh, now we know who to shoot in real life." So they shoot Spider-Man, he dodges, and he takes Mary Jane out of the way.
Yep.
But Aunt May's conveniently walking into the room at the same time, and she gets nailed with the sniper bullet.
Christ.
So then he makes a deal with the devil to just undo the marriage. They're not split up. They've just been really, really serious for real as boyfriend-girlfriend.
Yeah.
And then some bullshit breaks them up. And then they can't get back together.
sounds awful.
And then Doc Ock gets in Spider-Man's body, and he doesn't really realize that they're broken up. He just knows Peter Parker has his hot girlfriend. So then he tries hooking up with her, and then it doesn't work. So then Doc Ock in Peter Parker's body faps to the memories of banging Mary Jane,
Oh,
and that's how that comes to its natural conclusion.
I want to read more Spider-Man. I've only read. You think you let me borrow an
Yeah.
issue of Superior when Doc Ock's in his body?
Yeah, the first volume.
I
aren't
have
you?
Blue, which I got a little bit into, and then I stopped reading.
It's
that Amanda
fantastic.
let me that I need to finish because I did like it.
Yeah. I have a couple of the big ones from Dan Slott when he was good, like
Yeah.
Spider Island and Big Time.
Oh,
Those
I
are
read
fantastic.
What's that one? Everyone turns into spiders.
Spider Island.
Yeah, I've read that one.
Yeah,
You
that
let me
one's-
borrow that one.
That one I like because that's Dan Slott kind of reestablishing their
Yeah.
relationship.
okay.
Spider-Man's always been a character I've really liked. Ever like it was obviously for a superhero movie I ever saw
Yeah.
as a kid.
Well, I
I
was gonna s-
loved it.
It's
Yeah.
because Spider-Man's the most approachable character. Like
Yeah.
I realized this years ago.
Most people can relate to Spider-Man.
He's
Well-
Marvel's, what Batman and Superman
Oh,
are for DC.
no.
He's Marvel's.
No,
Spider-Man's
no.
the most popular superhero.
Yeah.
He's like the
he's
biggest.
he's
one.
not he's
not relatable as Clark Kent and Bruce
Su-
Wayne.
No, it's because Peter Parker, you can get into him at certain
Yeah.
points in the story, and he is whatever age you are.
Yeah.
You're in middle school, high school, you can read that
There's a
era.
Spider-Man for that.
And then he grows up with you. You can get into it, and he has your problems
Yeah.
on top of being Spider-Man, and he's
Yeah.
the most
I
relatable.
mean, if you want a young Bruce Wayne, you can relate to. You can always watch Gotham. I was being sarcastic.
Oh, I know.
How about that Bane that looks like he's trying to be in a cheap Mad Max movie?
Oh God.
But so I liked them teaming up. Regular universe Peter Parker, we'll call him that because
Yeah.
that's what he's supposed to be, or at
Yep.
least a parody of. Ultimate Spider-Man with Miles, and I like the addition of Gwen because Gwen's a fantastic character. Her entire universe is
Yeah.
amazing because they just take everything and they're like, we're gonna put it into a box, we're gonna shake it, and we're
Yeah.
gonna dump it out, and whatever comes out
'Cause
works.
What they said with her, it's basically she has the Peter Parker origin, and Peter dies in her place in that universe. Right?
Absolutely.
But she
not.
saves her dad. She even mentioned she's like, "I saved my dad."
Yeah.
So he pulls him out of the way of a bullet.
Well, in
Thank
the
God Dennis Leary's not dead.
in the original movie, well, in the original origin, it's Doc Ock is on a rampage and he knocks over like part of like a stone brickwork chimney, and there's a kid on the street that doesn't realize that Spider-Man's fighting on the roof above him, and Captain Stacy sees it, who's like working in confidence with Spider-Man.
Yeah.
He dives into the kid to get him out of the way and gets crushed. And Spider-Man takes him up to the rooftop, and he dies in Spider-Man's arms before he can get him to the hospital. Like,
Yeah.
he takes him to swing him, but everybody just sees Spider-Man kill this dude. So then
Yikes.
Gwen loses faith in Spider-Man too. She doesn't know he's Peter. And then the whole bridge thing with the fucking goblin, and
Yeah.
he's like, "I'm gonna catch you with a little hand I shoot out of my web slinger," and
Oh God. You're
snaps
referencing
him back.
the movie.
I am referencing the movie.
Tom hasn't seen it. He doesn't know.
I've seen.
I mean, he knows
I've
Gwen
seen,
Stacy dies, but in the Spider-Gwen books, which is like it's a really early summation of it, like it's not a big thing that happens. The Stacys live next door instead of the Watsons live next door to the Parkers,
Okay.
and her and Peter are best friends, and she gets bitten by the spider and becomes Spider-Woman. Not Spider, like they don't call her Spider-Gwen because that would get rid of her whole
Oh
personality.
yeah, I know. I was thinking about that before I seen the movie. I was like, I hope she doesn't go by Spider-Gwen
she
out
goes-
in the public. Because
she-
no wonder Peter gets fucking bipped.
She goes by Spider-Woman, but they call her Spider-Gwen for the title of the book because she was
Yeah.
To
There's already
separate her from
Spider.
Jessica Drew and
no, because there's a fucking there's a month where they're putting out Gwen variant covers for all the books. That's where Gwenpool came from.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
Spider-Gwen was another character, and everybody liked the design so much they gave her a series. And it actually, I think it outlasted Gwenpool. At least I enjoyed it more. But in that universe, she gets powers, becomes Spider-Woman. Peter Parker sees it and wants to emulate that. He uses the lizard formula
Oh really?
and becomes a lizard and dies using it. Because
Okay.
Kirk Connors already exists. He becomes the lizard. But Peter's like, oh, I'm a better scientist. I'm a high schooler. I don't know what I'm really doing.
Yeah.
But he tries to become the lizard. And he dies in Gwen's arms trying to emulate Gwen. So she feels that responsibility. That's her Uncle Ben moment. Meanwhile, Ben Parker still lives next door. And she has to go over and visit knowing she killed their nephew.
Jesus.
Inadvertently. And then she ends up revealing to them later on that she's Gwen.
Yeah.
That universe is amazing because fucking the Punisher's a cop,
oh,
and he's got a thing for Spider-Gwen, and he wants to kill her. And he used to be a war machine, which was like a fucking soldier that fought in the U.S. military, but they had like Stark Tech. So he's got like almost a War Machine armor, and then
so
does
is that where the Punisher War Machine
No,
thing
that's-
from last year
I
came
fucking
from?
love that.
no, that's its own story arc, which was fucking amazing. He's going into these other countries, and he's just like regular dudes are like, all right, we got to stop this guy. And fucking Iron Man shows up, but it's War Machine, it's the Punisher, and he murders everybody, and then he murders other guys in Iron Man suits, and he fucking comes home.
You have this?
Yes,
I wanna read it.
all of it.
Yeah, I want to read this
Dude,
too.
and like all the villains,
You have it all, right?
all the villains back home are like, we're gonna fight the Punisher in the Iron Man suit, and he's like, you can try, and they get him out of the suit, and they're like, what are you gonna do now? And he's like, I'm still the Punisher.
That starts next week. It
does.
On Netflix, season 2.
I hope
the
that-
last
Final
season.
season. The second to last season of Netflix Marvel in general.
I hope that they have,
Like,
I hope they have that in the movie, in the show. He gets the War Machine armor for like an episode.
I know Amanda's a big fan of Jessica Jones.
I hated season 2.
Okay, good. I did too. So
I
it
didn't
was so
finish
bad.
it, so...
Well, here's the thing. With season 2, they didn't try to adapt any storylines. They're like, we'll make our own story.
Yeah.
We can
It was
pull
the
this
fact
off.
that they brought her mother back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
you didn't
That's
finish
not
it?
Jessica.
Oh, boy, does it get worse.
oh, it gets weird.
Her mother gets, like, even worse. What's her name? Her best friend kills her mother. Spoilers for Jessica Jones season
Oh,
2.
what is it?
They're in a Ferris wheel for some reason, and, like, Jessica Jones and her mother are having this moment, and all of a sudden you just hear a shot, and her mother fucking drops. And Jessica turns, and her best friend's standing right there with a gun, and you're like, oh, damn.
Yeah. That's Hellcat.
Yes.
Yeah, she...
Right.
Patsy
No. Walker.
Yeah.
It's
Which was
Patsy.
good until, like, issue 12.
I mean, they were setting up Patriot, right? The dude taking the red, white, and blue pills.
No, that's Nuke.
Nuke. They were setting him up, and then he fucking dies
Right.
really early on, and I was
And
super
guess what he
disappointed.
is? Another Daredevil villain.
Yeah, he would have been cool.
Frank
Well,
Miller
yeah, 'cause,
Daredevil.
I mean, you've read most of the Jessica Jones comics. Other than Purple Man, does she really have any villains?
Was it Armadillo?
That's lame. Is he
Wait.
Texan? He better be from Texas.
No, I'm trying to think. It might be Armadillo. It might be somebody else. Is like helping Jessica Drew's Spider Woman
Yeah.
raise her kid. Like he's like the babysitter now.
But back to Spider-Verse. You can see one character from any Marvel property get into Spider-Verse.
Any character?
Any character. From any, like, throw rights out
Agent
the window.
Venom.
Agent Venom? That'd be pretty fucking dope.
That would be fucking amazing.
Oh my god. I bet you Venom, some form of Venom will play
No,
a
it
part
has
in
to be
this
Agent
sequel.
Venom because he's like everybody's favorite Venom.
I loved Agent Venom.
He is so cool.
I was so disappointed when the movie didn't adapt him. Still haven't seen it.
You know what I could see
So
fitting
we're just,
in
we're
that
just gonna break from Spider Verse for a second. Venom was bad. Back to Spider Verse.
I still didn't see Venom.
I did. It was bad.
Uh,
This is a review of one.
So what's better, the Venom film or Venom in Spider-Man 3?
Venom and Spider Man 3.
Jeez.
Yikes.
And again, I don't like Spider-Man 3 is a bad movie.
Right.
There's no denying that Spider-Man 3 is a bad movie, but Spider-Man 3 is at least a bad movie that tried to do interesting things,
Yeah.
whereas The Amazing Spider-Man was a fine movie that was really bland and didn't try anything, and that's why I will take Spider-Man 3 over
Yeah.
Amazing Spider-Man.
But, yeah, who's your character? I know who mine is.
I'm gonna cheat and say a team, just because it's a team that hasn't been done well in film ever, and I think they would fit.
Fantastic Four.
Yeah, I think they would fit in that world.
Watch me
well.
bury the lead. Watch me bury the lead.
I don't like Fantastic
I
Four.
think they would fit in that world well.
They're just so boring to me.
You got to read Hickman's run because there is some shit that
They're
happens.
still boring to me.
You know the Council of Ricks?
Yes.
It's,
Oh, they have the
that's
Council of Reeds,
That's where
yeah.
it comes from.
If I had to choose, I'd say I really think Deadpool would work really well in this series.
It would, but I don't want to see Deadpool like the Deadpoolification of Marvel.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's actually just like I know now that Marvel is absorbing all of the Fox properties, they're gonna like butcher that X-Men universe and reboot in the MCU, and I'm excited for that. But I'm worried that they're gonna try to bring in Ryan Reynolds, Deadpool, and that. I'm not.
Did you hear that there was there was more test screenings of Dark Phoenix and people said it
It's
was
terrible.
abysmal.
Hold
They
up.
compared it to Fan Four Stick and Batman and Robin.
You proposed a question and the Marvel expert hasn't answered.
Oh, okay. Amanda, who would you want?
Jessica Jones.
I think the street level heroes could work in it.
I would love to see Coma Girl. I mean,
Who?
that's what he calls her, is Coma Girl. They
Coma
went
Girl.
to school together.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Oh, she was in a coma.
Well,
Yeah.
that'd be pretty
Would-
funny. That would work.
it would work, but only if it was Peter, because Miles didn't go to school with her.
Yeah.
I mean, they could bring.
They could change that and
They
put
could-
her as a high school student in the
They
Miles
could,
universe.
they could. I'm just saying though, like that was
Yeah.
Now,
Just in general, I'd like
Yeah.
to see Jessica actually incorporated.
yeah,
In something other than the Netflix.
what do we think the sequel is setting up? Because they set it up at the end credit scene.
That was speaking of that,
That
was
was
another voice actor I didn't recognize at first.
I knew
was
right
Oscar
away.
Isaac.
I knew right away that was Oscar Isaac. I was like, motherfucker, Oscar Isaac is playing Spider-Man 2099.
Right after the movie ended, I looked at him and I'm like, I wish 2099 was in this movie.
See, I feel like 2099 would have fit better than the 3 random characters they chose to shoehorn in that movie.
Penny Parker, I feel like definitely.
Penny Parker.
She that's such a cool concept. They could have done it way better.
There's a comic version of her.
I liked the animation.
Yeah.
I didn't like it because I know what they were trying to make fun of, and it's like a
They
genre.
were trying to make her anime.
Yeah,
like,
they were
over the top.
They were trying to make fun of anime, which I don't
But
appreciate.
anytime an American studio makes fun of anime, they do it the same way.
Yeah.
Big eyes,
Right.
they freeze, they do like little hand things.
Yeah,
it's so cliche that it isn't funny anymore.
Yeah.
It's like I see what
Also,
they're
her character doesn't do anything, and she's not
Yeah.
like. She's like, oh, my spider power is I can talk to this spider that's in a robot suit.
Yeah.
Your power isn't you have spider powers.
Nah.
Your power is you're Iron Man.
Yeah.
I really like the mech though. I think
No,
that's
The
what-
mech was cool.
There's a cooler one because they did a comic for it for
I've
the
seen the comic one. The comic
the
one's a lot
fucking
cooler.
Evangelion version.
Yeah, it's huge.
Oh, it's dope. No, like there's someone drew a miniature version of it, so it just fits around her, and
Yeah.
it looks like a spider Evangelion,
That's pretty dope.
Huh.
a
Okay.
spider Gellion.
I can't wait for that to go to Netflix. I've wanted to watch that forever.
Yeah.
Nick Cage's Spider-Man 2099 was like.
Noir.
Oh, Noir.
That
Noir,
I
right,
liked.
right.
I thought
Okay.
he was very good for that.
I expected him to be a lot more comic relief than he was, but
Yeah.
he only had a couple of moments and they worked. Like,
And I thought
I-
it was just funny. Like, I really found genuine humor in him not seeing in
color.
color.
They
Yeah.
give him the Rubik's Cube
bit
and he's like, "What is this thing?"
See, I thought that was funny, but then the rest of it, like all of his jokes were the Rubik's cube after that.
No, he made another color, another one too. I don't remember what it was.
Like his those 3 characters were there to be like the comic relief.
Them and Spider-Ham.
Which
yeah.
is weird in a Spider-Man movie because Spider-Man's already supposed to be witty and comic relief in and of himself.
But I mean, I guess if you look at it, like, we have a young kid who's learning to be Spider-Man, so
Right.
he's not really
But
that
he's-
yet. And we have the
But he's also
older-
supposed to be super sarcastic because he's
Yeah.
a teenager. That's all you do is you're sarcastic and rude and a douchebag, which is hysterical.
But
because
he's at the brooding stage. He got bit by a spider and his
wasn't
uncle
like
died.
he wasn't like super. He
well, he
brooded
wasn't
a little bit.
He wasn't first. He was
Yeah.
super witty
And
and
it's
shit.
interesting too, just like, I mean, I know this is not a new thing for the movie, but it's interesting how his uncle dying is a very different spin on the traditional Uncle Ben thing.
And doesn't Miles' dad is usually the one who dies, or is that just in the game? Because I remember someone telling me, I was like, oh yeah, because I remember when I was playing the game, someone was like, oh yeah, Miles' dad usually dies,
I don't remember.
and that's his Uncle Ben, but I'm not sure.
It is interesting though that it is the way the film did it, at least, that his uncle is a villain, but it's still the Uncle Ben moment when he dies.
well, because his uncle doesn't die as a villain. His
Right.
uncle dies as an uncle.
right.
Yeah, and it's like, what's it called? Like he's got like he's not close with his dad, and he's close with his uncle instead because his uncle understands.
I thought
and-
I mean, I was in the trailer, but the "I love you" bit was hilarious.
Yeah, that's a great bit. And then when he like at the end when he's Spider-Man and he hugs his dad,
Yeah.
he's like, "I love you," and his dad's like,
Thanks.
You do good work. Which I figured at the end of the movie, like I thought they were just like it probably would have been better if they just like unmasked him to his dad later.
I know
It
it's
would
like
have been, it would have been more satisfying.
they kind of seem to be overplaying it.
Yeah.
But I love the idea of Spider-Man like hiding his voice when talking to people he knows.
Yeah.
Like I think Andrew Garfield did it.
Yeah.
I know.
It's a very teenager thing to do.
like Tom Holland does it obviously.
Yeah.
And now like Miles Morales does it too. I don't know why I like that so much. Just because usually superheroes when they talk to someone they know they're like, "Hey, it's me," and like, "Wow, you sound just like someone I know."
Yeah. Well, I mean, Batman does it.
Yeah.
I think that's also the joke. Which I watched Howl's Moving Castle a couple weeks ago. Christian Bale does the voice of Howl in the English
That's right.
dub.
Yeah.
And it's 2 years before Batman Begins, and he turns into this giant bird monster, and he's like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make my voice all deep and gravelly when I turn into this monster, and the studio's like, that's the perfect idea. So then he's like, I'm Howl. And I'm like,
He does that
It's Batman.
twice in the awful Terminator movie that he was in. He does it too, which was after The Dark Knight.
yeah. But, and then Spider-Ham, it was funny where he's like, I was the spider that got bit by a radioactive pig. I like that twist on it.
Yeah.
And the fact that he pulls out the hammer, space hammer, and he's like,
Yeah.
it fits in your pocket.
Yeah, like they're talking about doing him as a TV show, like Looney Tunes style.
That just fucking, like, Looney Tunes should just come back and be good.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
I don't know. Have you seen a lot of these like cartoon reboots nowadays?
No, that's what I'm saying. Like I've seen
They
the
have
Looney
that
Tunes.
same gross style. Not gross, but
It's
overdone.
everybody's got the same style.
The Cal Arts. That's what people call it. The California art style.
Well, it is because Cal Arts went from teaching everybody to be an independent style to this is the style that'll get you on TV.
Big smile.
Yeah.
Round head. Chubby mean character.
Thick outlines.
Yep.
You got to get those thick with 2 C's outlines. Which is why I like some of the other cartoons that are coming out now because like the Cal Art style became so popular. These other studios are like, we'll get on the map
We can be different
by not doing that. Because like beforehand, every cartoon was different, which is why you could differentiate. Like, I don't dislike the fact that new Thundercats movie, Thundercats show is coming out and like all campy and cartoonish. That's fine, but it looks like 7 other cartoons that are out there right now. So I'm like, where's the draw to it? There's nothing interesting to look at. They look like fucking Pop Funkos come to life.
And it's the same thing with a lot of comics too.
You watch your fucking mouth.
No, I just mean a lot of the big comics, like some of the main Marvel and DC titles, I run into that problem with, and that pushes me into some of the smaller characters.
But I mean, who do we see coming back for a sequel or the female spin-offs? Obviously, I think they'll bring in like Scarlet Spider.
Ooh, I would fucking love Scarlet Spider to show up.
Spider Woman.
I want to see 2099 in a full role.
Well, yeah,
Spider Girl, Mayday Parker.
And now, do you think like
Ghost
the
Rider.
sequel will just be like Miles in his universe doing his thing, or will it be?
No, I
big
think it'll be.
crossover?
I think they'll bring people.
As
back.
long as they don't do the actual Spider-Verse story, we are fine.
And what about the spin-off? Will it just be Gwen in her universe, or
No, I think it's gonna be. They said
they're
it's
all
gonna be female lead.
Okay, so it's gonna be like a whole team.
Maybe. I mean, they could bring some other people in
Yeah.
for Gwen to train.
The other question is, how many movies in until this just collapses? Because they're already blowing their load on this. Like, yes, they made a good movie,
Yeah.
but now they're like, we're gonna do everything Spider-Verse.
I mean, is the same team working on the sequel?
Lord and Miller are working on the sequel, but not the spin-off, I believe.
yeah, but Lord and Miller
The
are also
spin-off will
working.
probably be a female-led writing team, I
Yeah.
imagine.
Lord and Miller are also working on every movie that's coming out for any studio lately.
Yeah. I mean,
Except Disney, because, you know.
so there's something interesting to me is when Sony had their email leaks when they made the interview,
Yep.
and a bunch of stuff came out about the Amazing Spider-Man universe.
Yep.
The Amazing Spider-Man universe was supposed to have a Spider-Verse as its final, the last slated movie
Yep.
they had planned, where it was going to be Gwen, Spider-Gwen, Spider-Man 2099, Spider-Man Noir, the Amazing Spider-Man, and like a few other characters. I feel like maybe like that somehow was salvaged into this, but at the same time, this is too good to have been salvaged. So
Because
it might
that's
just,
also the universe that was going to have an Aunt May movie.
yeah, it probably just would have. This probably was just the.
They probably just kept the title.
Yeah, they probably just kept the idea and look, animate it and we'll play with it because Amazing Spider-Man 3 was supposed to have resurrections.
Yep.
They were supposed to resurrect Gwen Stacy and her
the
dad.
father.
Because Dennis Leary said they were going to bring me back for the third movie, and everyone's like, "What the fuck are you
What?
talking
No,
about?
not
Did you
unless-
see the first one?" He's like, "Yeah, they were going to bring me back."
Not unless he was going to be like flashbacks and stuff. Because people always say that.
No,
they're
no,
like,
he said pure on resurrect.
okay.
He said he was appeared in
Yeah.
the second movie, but he said resurrect, like they plan on resurrecting him.
And then Venom, the Venom movie that was originally written as a Spider-Man, a Raimi spin-off, and then became an Amazing Spider-Man spin-off,
Yeah.
and now finally came out during the Holland era, but has nothing to do with the MCU.
That's what entirely kills the concept of doing a Venom movie.
And that's the other thing too, like, Spider-Man literally went to space in the MCU. If there was ever a good time to set up Venom in the
Yeah.
MCU, it was in 2018.
My thing with them doing 2099 Spider-Man is I want to see them try to do it as a Batman Beyond style thing.
I would love that. I would love that.
So I just searched Amazing Spider-Man 3 to try and find like this email, and
Yeah.
Google returned Homecoming to me.
Better
Do you mean
selection.
Homecoming?
Better selection.
The best part of that fucking end credit scene though is when he goes back in time and they put him in the 1960s cartoon and they do the
Yeah, the
I
point
love
thing.
that. I was dying. Like I was wheezing so hard in that
I
theater
love
at
that. Yeah.
One Spider-Man I'm so disappointed didn't make it into this
Japanese
one
Spider-Man.
was Tokatsu Spider-Man.
oh with the mech
But they said they were going to put him in the sequel.
Leopard.
Oh, are they? That sounds great.
Oh, I'm so happy.
That's so great. Remember before we watched the movie, I was showing you the Japanese Spider-Man stuff?
He's got a
Yes.
robot and a car.
Leopard.
It's Power Rangers,
Yeah,
basically.
But there's
Oh my
there's
God.
that Spider-Man, but then there's also manga Spider-Man, which would be the same thing as Penny Parker because I've seen it. It's literally just like the over accentuated like, oh, this is
Yeah.
anime. But like the actual Spider-Verse event is like in the creativity you get to see these different Spider-Men, which is cool because there's like Spider Assassin, and instead of having web slingers, he's got like fucking guns. And his
Okay.
so
What if we got Tarantula from the DC universe?
no, what if we got Tarantula from the Marvel universe?
I mean, yeah, that's true. Yeah, have you ever seen what? No, is his name Tarantula in the DC universe? He's literally just evil Spider-Man in the DC universe.
I don't
He
know.
was in one of the Batman animated movies.
Oh, Black Spider?
Yeah. I don't know why I thought his name was Tarantula.
There's a character in Marvel called the Tarantula, and dude, he's got like no spider powers. He just calls himself that. He's got these shoes with spikes on them, and he like fucking kicks you.
Yeah, he was in. They made a prequel comic to the game or sequel comic to the game.
Yeah.
He's the main villain in it.
He
Okay.
he
They're
stuns
doing a
people.
comic adaptation of the game now, right?
Is it an adaptation
I
or
think
is it in
it's
the
an
same
adaptation.
universe?
It's a really weird thing when they try to make comic books out of like open.
Yeah.
I mean, if they adapt the game to a book, it's going to be fantastic because
Yeah.
the game was, oh my god.
I mean, I haven't played it, but I know like the gist of all of it, and yeah.
Okay. But I'm excited to see where the sequel goes.
Yeah.
I'm
The
worried.
sequel and the spin-off, I'm curious.
I
I don't want to see Amy Pascal do as she does with Amazing Spider-Man.
They'll do the Sinister Six verse too.
Like
They're gonna bring in Tom Hardy as Venom in animation, and
like I want to see where they go, but at the same point in time, I'm also like I know you're gonna go like 2-3 movies in, and then completely just train wreck yourself.
It also didn't really have an antagonist. Like they had
Kingpin.
Prowler,
Prowler,
Kingpin.
Yeah.
I did not like Scorpion in this movie. I
no.
completely forgot he was in it.
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
I didn't like
I'm
him.
excited for live action Scorpion just because I love the actor.
Well, he's
Like,
not going to be in. I don't think he's going to be in Far From Home.
No, probably not. But they're setting him up for
Yeah.
something. Like I love Michael Mando.
It was also a weird finale. Like it was cool artistically, but just fighting in like that ether space was weird.
Yeah, I mean, it was really like I loved how just like shit was fucking. They're running up a building and he's
Yeah.
throwing trains and Kingpin punches him and he doesn't die even though he killed Peter Parker with the same punch.
Yeah.
What else?
I also like the fact that they made him an artist in the movie. So like when he does redesign his suit,
Yeah.
it makes sense.
Yeah.
Is that a traditional Miles thing?
I have
or-
no idea because I
Okay.
didn't really read the Ultimate Universe. Well, I'm reading it now, but I'm not up to like the intro
Yeah.
to Miles because everybody just kind of like assumes that like from an outside perspective, oh, Miles is the Ultimate Spider-Man, so like the entire Ultimate run is Miles. When like there were a good 4 or 5 years of Peter stories.
Yeah.
It was just Bendis being like, hey, I want to retell Peter, update him, make him more modern, and like stuff happens differently. Like you get 5 or like the first trade is pretty much up until the point of Uncle Ben's death. Like you get to actually see him with Uncle Ben, not just like I got spider powers. I was kind of a dick to my uncle. He gets shot,
Yeah.
like all in 3 panels. It's spread out that way. Like later on, like you don't get beat over the head with like how much his uncle meant to him every
Yeah.
issue where he's like, my uncle died and now I feel
Yeah.
guilty.
I love doesn't at one point Peter says to Miles says to Peter with great power and then Peter's like, don't you finish
Yeah,
that
yeah.
sentence.
But
I
that-
love how one thing going back to the different Spider-Man is how like natural powers felt to Peter and then Miles is like just can't
Oh.
get the adaptation. I love the idea of him struggling to adapt to his new powers. Usually they do it in the movies and it's like, oh, he's breaking his sink and look,
Yeah.
he's like sweating
Yeah.
a lot. But I really like the way they did it with Miles.
That's also like I was very happy with the skipping over that for the MCU because we've gotten it so many times. But also going on with powers, Miles can turn invisible.
Yes, and the Venom shock.
I
Those
know-
are two things he has in the comics.
I know the Venom Blast is one. He doesn't usually do the invisibility thing,
Yeah.
but he can. My thing was, I know the scene where they like have him meet Aunt May. Like, that's from a book called Spider-Man,
Okay.
That's the one where
Peter gets sent to the Ultimate Universe.
okay, now I'm thinking the one where Peter dies.
So, well, it's after Peter dies in the Ultimate Universe. Like they know he dies,
Yeah.
but Mysterio in the Ultimate Universe is actually Mysterio in the main Marvel universe.
Yeah.
He's just opening a portal and sending in like life model decoys to go fuck with Spider-Man in the Ultimate Universe too. But Peter goes to the Ultimate Universe, but Peter was still much younger. Like he was only like 17 when he dies. This is like a 26-year-old Peter going.
Okay.
It's not like in the movie where like there's like a 4 to 5 year difference and they're like both adults like living their own life. It's like Peter was a kid when he died as Spider-Man in the Ultimate Universe.
Okay.
This Peter goes over and he like talks to Aunt May and he tells Aunt May like how much, like how happy he is even though he sold his marriage to the devil and like shit like that.
Jeez.
And like he meets Gwen in that universe and like Gwen's still this like punk teenager. Like Ultimate Universe Gwen is amazing because she's actually a character. And then
So
like,
she's a character everywhere except mainstream.
yeah. She's like this punk. Her dad still the police chief, but he got a divorce, like bad breakup with his wife. Gwen's caught in the middle of it. She starts to act out. Actually, Flash Thompson's threatening Peter in school. She pulls a knife on him in the middle of the school. Jesus. Mind you, this was written in like the early 2000s.
Way better than movie Gwen, who's just like, I'm an A student. We're having salmon carpaccio for dinner.
Yeah, outside of the fact that it's Emma Stone, so like.
Oh yeah.
The real upside to the movie Gwen, but and then he still has a relationship with Mary Jane, but it's back and forth. And like I know a lot of people like their complaint about the Ultimate Universe is like the relationship between Mary Jane and Peter, because Peter dates like Kitty Pryde from the X-Men, and like a couple other people, but Mary Jane's like
They keep
nope.
trying to force her everywhere.
Yeah,
She was Star-Lord for a while in the recent comics.
I know. I read the recent comics now.
But, like, why?
Because they were like, oh, we need to make Star-Lord more interesting, and like we're not doing anything with Kitty. And then she was supposed to marry Colossus this last year, but then she leaves him at the altar by phasing through the ring when he goes to put it on her finger.
Oh.
Yeah, but it's I want to read Spider-Man. I only heard I've heard a recap of it, and it sounds really good. And I hear the like Peter meeting Aunt May is like this really cool like emotional scene, because back and forth. But in the movie, he's looking at her, and she's just like, "Oh, you're from another dimension, right? I knew this was gonna happen.
Yeah.
Let's go out to the shed." Which is both cool and like plot advancing, but also like you don't really get to see like the emotional that's not the emotional response that like Aunt May should have like 2 days after her nephew dies.
I mean, it sounds like she was like his Alfred though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is totally how I usually see Aunt May.
Yeah.
And that's another thing, too, just to go back to current live-action MCU stuff, with her knowing at the end of Homecoming, I could see that being a thing, especially with the Far From Home trailer revealing her and Happy in a relationship now.
Oh yeah.
I could absolutely see her playing that role moving forward.
Man, when are we gonna get that?
That trailer?
Yeah.
I wonder,
I
like...
don't want it until after Endgame.
It's just
Makes
funny.
sense.
It's funny
But
that
then,
they
like what? It's out a month, 2 months
July
after
it's
Endgame.
out.
Even
July.
still.
Three
months.
months.
we'll get it
3
Super Bowl,
months.
definitely.
Oh, yeah, we'll have footage on the Super Bowl, for sure.
My thing
I
though
think
is
they're going to show all 3 Marvel movies this year in the Super Bowl, honestly.
I have to hide from the Super Bowl in that case.
it's just funny though because you have this is
You
the
really-
downfall of these Marvel movies. They're like, hey, everybody's dead, and we're like, we know they're not because we know there's a sequel, and we know all these people are
Well,
slated
You
to have.
killed
To
everyone
be
getting
fair,
a sequel,
though,
damn
Yes.
it.
To be fair, Marvel has not... we don't know anything that's coming out next year.
Yeah.
We don't know a single movie on the 2020 slate.
Right, but you
The only reason we know Spider-Man and are getting that this year, because Marvel wanted to wait till 2020 for that, it was a Sony decision that it comes out this year.
But you know a lot of those characters coming back because
yeah.
they have stuff slated. Or
Well,
they
yeah, you
they
know.
announced other projects ahead
Scott
of time.
Derrickson just signed on to the Doctor Strange sequel.
Right.
And Black Panther is obviously going to get a second movie. I really hope, now that we know, unless the trailer's lying to us, but now that the trailer is showing us that Shuri was among the dusted, I want to see M'Baku as the current Black Panther.
I think that they're.
I was hoping that they were going to do the storyline where Shuri becomes Black Panther.
I want that.
I think the trailers are
But
being deceptive on purpose.
My thing with them doing Shuri as Panther, don't waste
Tom's a
that-
misogynist.
No. Don't listen.
We're listening.
Don't. That's a really great concept. Don't waste it on a little brief universe in Endgame that's going to get reset. Save that as something that could actually happen in the Black Panther movies.
It could. You set it up in the second of the fourth Avengers movie, and then in Black Panther 2, you have the two of them trying to figure out who the fuck the actual Black Panther is, because she's now the Black Panther because he was technically dead. And then you can watch them fight each other, and she'll have all the science advantage, and he'll have all his, I was chosen by the Panther God, thank you kindly. And she's like, but I got chosen after you died. Also, can we please introduce the Panther God? That way we get, like, more of this magic.
Vast, right?
Yeah.
Vast.
That way we get more of this magic shit going forward, because you got Doctor Strange being the only person to recognize magic exists.
Thor is starting to.
Thor is still not, because Thor went the full sci-fi route with
Yeah.
the fucking Kirby.
Wanda.
I mean, I'd say
Wanda.
it was a pretty 50-50
Wanda
split.
isn't magic. Wanda's a science
No.
experiment where they don't want to say she's a mutant, but she is.
What's her fuck? Maria Hill says in Age of Ultron.
She's
weird.
I still
no,
though-
she has that official thing where she's like she can manipulate electrons and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
I want to see Wanda train under Doctor Strange in the films. That would be really fun.
That could be cool.
He hates that because in the comics he's always like, you're not magic, you're a
Yeah.
mutant, and B, chaos magic doesn't exist. You're just being chaotic with magic, and everybody's like, he's kind of like the head wizard. Like what he says goes.
Even still, like with that kind of bickering, whatever, that
Yeah.
would be a really fun
No, it would be.
thing to explore. In
Which
the
is
films.
why I'm loving the what if story they did, and I hope they do more where Magic, Colossus' sister, becomes the apprentice of the Sorcerer Supreme.
Okay.
And it's dope because the fucking demon that imprisoned her in limbo for like 15 years shows up and Doctor Strange fights it and she has to help him, and that's where she makes her soul sword.
Okay.
Oh, it's great. All those what if books were solid for the most part, outside of like Spider Punisher.
We've derailed.
Ever so slightly.
John, it's a podcast and this is like the longest episode we have, but the title's going to say Spider-Verse, so that'll get us hits.
Yeah, true. But yeah, otherwise, great movie, great character design, except for Scorpion, in my opinion.
I don't even remember Scorpion's look.
He was
Honestly, so-
weird. He looked like a freaking.
Oh,
90s
he had like
action
he was
figure.
he was like the friggin' like spider
It was,
gremlin.
he
in
was like
Gremlins
small.
2.
It looked like he was like out of Small Soldiers or something.
Yeah.
Which,
Yeah, I remember.
no disrespect to Small Soldiers, I love that movie as a kid.
I didn't like his design.
No, I-
Scorpion's design in that movie just did not. All the other designs were great. Like I loved their take on the Doc Ock, but the female
Yeah,
version.
that
how,
was
like,
really fun.
Her arms were almost more organic
Yep.
than mechanical.
What was her name, Octavia?
No, it was Liv.
Oh, yeah.
Olivia.
Oh, Olivia.
Yeah, I thought that was fun. I loved the Kingpin design. Like
Kingpin,
that
how
was
big
really
he was.
cool.
Outside of the fact he looked like the big bouncer guy from Cats Don't Dance, I was fine.
What else?
Prowler's suit was
incredible.
Really
Everything about
really
I loved
cool.
Prowler. I loved the
Oh.
audio cues, and I loved
You
how,
guys love
how
Prowler?
his footprints were so heavy.
Have you ever heard of a character called Spawn?
Yeah. Spawn's lame.
We'll be getting to that. I don't care.
Spawn was the introduction character for Prowler because Spawn is just a Venom ripoff because Todd McFarlane drew Venom
Yeah.
and then was like, I'm starting my own comic book company, made Spawn. And then Marvel was like, you want to steal characters? We're just going to make this guy called Prowler. Because if you look at like OG Prowler suit,
He looks
it,
just- yeah.
it is purple Spawn. Which there is a purple Spawn.
I was hoping they'd bring Prowler into MCU. I don't think it's gonna happen now.
No. Not unless...
Hey, no biting Tom. The cat's biting Tom. She knows better.
The only thing they might do is give
being
him
feisty today.
give him gauntlets.
Yeah.
Like from the wreckage of like whatever the Vulture had
Well, I
left.
think that's what they were
Oh.
You want me
hinting
to crack
at with
that
him
open for
buying
you?
gear from the Tinkerer.
Yeah. Well, I know the Shocker gauntlet is the Crossbones gauntlet.
Yeah.
Played with. I watched Homecoming again not that long ago and totally forgot they pull out an Ultron head in that movie.
Yeah.
Which
I
is
need
a
to watch that
which is a Bendis thing. Bendis had this big thing with like trying to get Ultron popular before the book event Age of Ultron. Nothing to do with the movie Age of Ultron. And there's like 4 characters that all have an Ultron head or like something of Ultron. One of which is Moon Knight.
Oh.
Which another option. Spider-Verse 2, Moon Knight. Also, because they just did a book where they cross Moon Knight and Spider-Man together and they call me Arachnite. Put it in the box.
That's being a dick.
Ever so slightly reaching out for my knee and then digging claws in.
Which is funny because John's holding the cat like a baby when like a year ago this time John was like, fuck this cat and was ready to punt it down the street.
Yeah, I grew it. She grew me. Hey. She's a brat.
Hey.
You want to add anything? Yeah. But yeah, Spider-Verse. Really a lot better than I expected.
Same.
It took so long for me to see it because I was super hesitant. No, get out of here. No biting. It took me a while to like see it. Like I just saw
Yeah.
it like today is January 9th,
9th.
and I didn't see it till like a few days ago, Sunday. So 3 days ago. I waited so long because I was like, I don't think I'm gonna like this. It's Sony. I don't know how I feel about whole Spider-Verse. I don't usually like multiverse things, but yeah, it worked. It was really good.
Speaking of Sony and Spider-Man, did you hear about the meeting with Amy Pascal and Kevin Feige, where I forget what suggestion he made, but she threw a sandwich at him?
No, I didn't hear about that.
I heard something about it.
But we gonna wrap this one up.
Yeah.
Well-
Want to send us off, Fred?
No, not really. I did the last one.
All right, I'll do this one. All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. Be sure to check out our other stuff. We just put out Klaus, which is a little late, but it's kind of Christmas, holiday, winter themed. Really good book. Check out a review or check it out yourself.
We have a couple Batman books on
We
the
have a
way.
couple Batman books on the way. We'll probably continue with this movie thing.
Stuff.
I'll try and see Aquaman. Maybe we can try and get that out soon.
I will also try.
I'm sure we'll do
Captain Marvel.
without a doubt.
We never did
Yes.
Ant-Man and the Wasp.
We didn't do Ant-Man and the Wasp.
I still haven't seen it.
Fun movie.
I'll let you borrow if you want.
I can get it.
But yeah, Ant-Man and the Wasp. We'll. I'm sure we'll ramp up as more comic book movies and stuff come out.
It's funny because when I was on the other shift at work, it was hard for me to get to movies because like I'd have to go out later.
Yeah.
And I have to get up super early for work. But now it's like it's harder for me to go see the movies because I just don't know when I'm working.
Yeah. But we'll try and get our schedule back to normal.
Also,
Semi-frequent releases.
what was it? Hopefully we'll do an I Killed Giants movie review because I have that and that was the first book we did. Mm-hmm. And we've been waiting since like last May to watch it at some point. And there's a couple of DC animated movies, like there's the Reign of the Superman movie coming out soon. And
We can talk about Batman Ninja.
Death of Superman was actually pretty good. Like
Red Sun is rumored to be in development.
I've also heard that, and Red Sun is also a book, which is easily.
Really?
No, it's easier to read than Death of Superman and Reign of the Superman because I've tried reading Reign of the Superman.
Superman's just so boring to me. I don't know.
Actually, Death of Superman is really cool because it's just a fist fight.
Yeah.
It's everything you wanted to see in Batman vs Superman.
Yeah.
But Reign of the Superman, you got to follow 4 different guys.
Yeah,
It
right.
sucks because it's all the '90s. The only interesting one is Steel. The only interesting design is Eradicator.
That's a movie we should do.
Fuck no.
Shaquille O'Neal Steel.
Yep.
Only if you bring the beer.
All right. Well,
All right.
thanks for listening, everyone. Again, subscribe. Blah blah blah. All that good stuff.
Amanda's taking care of the social media stuff.
We already have a new Instagram, Comics Band C, and then I realized it's Comics B and C. So.
It's comics. We're banning the C, so it's just Omix. It's the Omix Brew and Chew. Not to be confused with Omnix.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
All right.
On the flip side.